netizens to part 2 of the Dragon Age Dismemberment. Last time we talked about Child Hawk, Kanaria no longer part of the story because fuck confusion. We talked about how to keep with each player's contingency by not allowing Dragon Age Origin characters come back as undead zombies. We also talked about how the Chantry should be the main power in the city. We talked about meeting dwarves and getting familiar with the world through side quests, which brings me to Not Anders 1 and 2. These should be side quests but should intersect with the main quest. Not Anders 1 can provide the non-party mage who enjoys life. Maybe he's a flunky adventurer who likes to go into deep caves and wander. He hires you as a bodyguard but can be one of those type where you're automatically like, fuck this guy, he can handle himself. Whereas Not Anders 2 provides Chantry support. Wouldn't that be interesting? There was another mage beside Hawk to side with the Chantry. These side quests could play important roles into 2 characters because, hey, character development's a good thing. Although, let me make this clear, these side quests would be completely optional because in this version of DA2, this isn't a sandbox on rails. This is a cat litter box where you take your turns everywhere. Onto the story itself. Instead of plundering into side quests, consider that the city is mostly influenced by the Chantry in this version. Either Hawk Warrior Rogue is acquired by the Chantry, or Hawk Mage gets taken in like his mage sibling would have. This would branch the main plot into 2 different side plots, and each can prove a bit of a lesson in DA2. Fascinating how that works. Actual, humanitarian, and social commentary. The Chantry could be trying to indoctrinate Hawk Warrior or Rogue into believing mages are bad, which in this case would be interesting if all the mages Chantry did catch were bad mages, or at least forced from fear and survival. So, of course, Chantry and Hawk might have an issue with mages as time went on, because the Chantry controls what you see in fear. Kind of like our modern-day news, where we're only shown the bad, so we believe that this world is worse than some other magical time we never lived in. Well, Mage Hawk, which has been taken away to the doghouse, the Mages Guild placed in the cities, sees the opposite side, but is aware of the bad mages and good mages, because even good mages fear bad mages. This adds more depth into the game, allows the player to think. Fascinating how that works. Gives into some common themes of our modern world and makes you more involved in the game. Fascinating. I would just like to remind you of going overall arcing story, not how you meet the other characters, etc. But even those haven't changed. Let's pretend that our new version characters are introduced good and aren't horny bastards who haven't been touched in days and need some ravaging in those areas. However, speaking of meeting characters, I'll go over Anders. I think Anders needs to be fixed as a whole character. His body has to go. To see Anders as a leader of resistance against the Chantry, he'd be the person to maybe open the eyes of Warrior or Rogue Hawk into seeing the other side that the Chantry hadn't told. Anders is more balanced with Mage Hawk depending on how the character plays it. Renegade may be something as promising Anders of resistance, while realistic Mage Hawk, the good one, would bring Anders down to earth and show him that only they make the Chantry believe the stereotype the more they fight. Either way, this would be how Anders in the game would be fixed. To finish this off, Mage Hawk or other Class Hawk would complete main quest of either or faction they were forced into, but somewhere down the line either Hawk would be allowed to break from these factions or change sides depending on what they thought. Mage Hawk may be poisoned by side quests. Not Anders too, while Chantry Hawk may completely believe the Chantry even despite what Anders has said, which he brings up the point of being able to kill party members. Yeah, if they don't like what you stand for, much like the Chantry girl who didn't like you violating the urn, stab a bitch. Again, this makes relationships deeper and brings conflict within the game. Not everyone is going to be all like, oh, okay, I agree with you, let's have sex. Instead, add some tension and some conflict. And in this version, not every mage is a blood mage. Except it's totally okay if your mother dies at the hand of a blood mage. The one that Hawk investigated about. This probably shakes good Mage Hawk who believes the world's all hunky-dory. Well, kind of. Or just influences those Hawks who side with the Chantry at this point of the game. The final showdown comes down between the Chantry and the Mages. Now this is where I would change things. The Chantry leader should be exposed for the monster she really is, but the Mage leader shouldn't be an abomination or a blood mage. Instead, if you were a Hawk who decided to stay with the Chantry, you must feel something for your actions as you realize you've slaughtered innocent people. Even the leader, making you, the player, feel as if you've done something truly wrong. Whereas Mage Hawk or Haku sides with mages will feel great satisfaction for exposing the true monster and feel good about their ending and all of it. I know my overview is very short and I compressed a lot of things, but this would have taken me tons of videos to go through everything wrong with this game. So in short, allow you, the player, to grow as a child with his family. The city is run by the Chantry. There are good mages and bad mages, a main plot that exposes both sides, a main quest that follows either or faction, and still gives the players the ability to break away from them in more focused, streamlined story. This is just all my opinion though, so don't get your panties in a bunch if you don't agree. Kindly comment down below, like, dislike, or subscribe. I'm Ed Bunny, and I'll see you later. Nom 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 nom. I don't know what that was. I was gonna like burp.